Hello everybody, this is Paul here, and I'm going to show you how to UV map a toroid in Wings3D. I had an old video that showed it, but I don't know what happened with YouTube. It kind of got messed up or something. So it's only in 240p, and it looks like it was filmed with the potato, so or screen captured by a potato. So I'm just going to redo the tutorial, this time with the voiceover, and I'm still using an old version of Wings3D because I like to do mechanical modeling in it. There's some recent changes since this version kind of killed my workflow, so I just went back to using this old version. And I don't know how the newest version is, but given that some of the changes never seem to get implemented back, and I always had this stupid menu popping up in my way or something when I was trying to do stuff. I just stuck with this. So you want to know how to, like I said, UV map a toroid. So let's do that. Let's create a torus primitive. And I have it shaded mode, but go to wireframe right here. And right now it's just a plain old default material, big whoop, nothing special. So how do we UV map this? Let's click it in object mode, go down to UV mapping, right click export to segmenting mode. The other stuff does redoes the stuff too. But left clicking is fine in this case because there's no map on it to begin with, so it should go to segmenting mode just like that. And usually the way I do it is I don't even bother charting. I just do edge loop here, edge loop there, hit L for loop select, and then if there's a loop on the inside, I usually do that loop select. And what I do with these loops is I mark the edges for cut, and that is it. And I go continue and unfolding. And now we get two charts like so. So what do we do now? What I do then is hit space, make sure nothing's selected. Pick a vertex here and there on the middle. And rotate chart to Y. Do the same thing on the other one. Rotate chart to Y. And then I go to the mesh actually, and I pick edges. So I go like that, hit G for ring, L for loop, and that will be all the edges that run up and down on this. So what I do is scale the edges horizontal to 0. As you can see, that equalizes the mapping here. And then I do this loop, this ring, which will be all these edges going across, and I want to scale them on the vertical to 0, like so. Now you got two easily paintable maps. There may be some stretching, but the way the tension is on a toroid is not too bad. It's fairly easy to deal with. Just keep in mind that the middle of this line is this edge right here. So if I were to go edge mode, select it. It's kind of hard to see on this chart, but if I go to the vertices on the chart, you can see it changes. These vertices are selected. So you notice you might want some blade room, because when you map, if you don't give enough room outside for blade, your textures, your image textures can actually pull in with anti-aliasing the surrounding area, so you always want room for blade. But before we do that, let's scale this to normalize the sizes. Doesn't seem to be a problem. So I'm going to move to center Y, and I'm just going to scale these down a little bit, uniform. About 90%, and it gives plenty of blade room around them. And looks like everything's lined up right. No backwards text on the outside, so this is ready to go to painting, ready to go for painting. You can do it in a 2D app, easy, but right now I would recommend you learn Blender because the UI is not as confusing as it was in years past. I know some people they saw it before the 2.5 version and you just gave up, and I almost did too. Saw something cool in Blender, so after you're done with your wings and you want a render engine that's good for, and a program that's actually good for painting your maps, and go to Blender and check that out. There you go, you got the map. So we'll hit create texture. Our background is options. We can do the image, which is this AUV chart, which might be helpful, or we could just do a solid color. The thing is, when you do a solid color, you better click that color, because this right here is the value where if it is, this is your alpha value, and I believe if it's at 1, it's transparent, 0, it's one way or the other, but it does not give you a checker grid. We could find out real quick though. We'll set that to alpha of 1. See, it looks like white, but there's no checker grid in here, so you don't know if it's... We'll find out. So yeah, just make sure to check your color. Click that, so our background is color in this case. And draw edges, draw all edges. You can set it to draw border edges, and this is fine in my case, blue. Like a blueprint. And you can actually set faces and patterns. There's some pretty simple textures too, like draw faces or edge filter. There's a few of those. Newer one probably has a lot more. I'll just go back to none. I just want the edge pass. So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3 each one. This is the bottom layer, by the way. So let's hit OK. And I see white here. Right there. So I guess alpha 1 is solid. Yes, alpha 1 is solid, alpha 0 is transparent. So I got it right this time. But just something to be aware of if you don't know the alpha sitting there. A new version might have fixed that, but like I said, I used this old version. So now we got it UV mapped. This is our texture, so I kind of renamed it. Let's call this Toroid map. Not everybody knows what AUV is, even though that's for automatic UV. And the same with material. You could probably just rename that material. And that will be Toroid mat. And that's it. And you should be able to export this to a folder for object models and use it in your render engine of choice, or you can save it to Wings. And you can make this image file external, which will reference to an external file, or you can just leave it internal as it is. There you go. That's it. That's how you map a toroid in Wings3D.